Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning edition of Hot Mic rolls on. Tomorrow, don't forget, Corey Provis will be with us, voice of the Twins, as they get set to open up a series with the Astros. First time they've seen Houston since they eliminated them in the American League Division Series a year ago. He'll join us tomorrow after they wrap up their series with the Royals today, noon, coming up from Target Field. That's coming up on the show tomorrow. Mentioned earlier in the show about our next guest, and I actually got a chance to see him play in person against the Moorhead Spuds a couple years ago. Cade Osterman was the Minnesota Mr. Football winner in 2022 out of Elk River. And the Bison have actually had a pretty good lineage of guys that have won the Mr. Football award heading to their school. Nick Mertens was the first out of East Grand Forks back in 2004. He was the inaugural winner of the award. Zach Vra won it out of Rosemont High School. He seemed to be okay. NDSU's all-time number one receiver in every category. And then a guy named Robbie Grimsley came along from Hutchinson High School and was a 4-year starter and won 3 national championships and was a dynamite player on the back end. Now they have Cade Osterman, who will transfer in. Osterman spent last season at the University of Minnesota. He redshirted there. He did not play. Had to battle a couple of injuries and went into the transfer portal in the middle of April, shortly in the time when Eli Green went in the portal. The Bison offered him, and late last week, he announced that he was transferring, and he's got 4 years of eligibility to spend at North Dakota State to play at the wide receiver position. I had a chance to visit with him. Here's our conversation with Cade Osterman about transferring into NDSU.
When I first tweeted out that I was entering the portal, a lot of the coaches or people that had followed me on Twitter were reaching out, asking hey, would you be interested? And NDSU was right away. Coach Grant Olson, I knew out of high school the most, and he would come to my high school and talk to him. So he reached out to me right away, and NDSU was right on it. They were one of the first schools that hit me up, and I was interested from them from the start, and just kind of got the ball rolling and kept in contact throughout the whole thing as I was sorting out with the other schools. And ultimately I figured out that this was the best choice for me. So
did they talk to you during the high school recruiting process at all?
Yeah. So I'd been to Fargo once, really for just a camp invite. And other than that, Coach Grant Olson had been to my school a couple times and we'd talked, but out of high school, it just didn't always align up with position and roster numbers. So ended up going to the U instead, but, found my way back. So, yeah, I'd always kept in contact with them, though. So
describe this past year. Was it frustrating? I mean, just what's the best way to describe what happened this past year with Minnesota?
A little bit disappointing with me. In terms of me, I dealt with some injuries and felt like I just kind of got sidelined for most of it, kind of pushed to the side, and got put on scout team, which I was fine with. I kind of expected that, but in terms of opportunities, I felt like I wasn't getting a lot of opportunity, and kind of chose to leave based off that. I want to go play somewhere and be impacting a team, not just being a part of a team. So
you play all over the place. What about wide receiver, I guess, makes you excited about playing that here at NDSU?
I feel like just the dynamic ability that I bring with having the ball in my hands and then being able to create separation on the outside. That's where I feel like I can grow the most and serve the biggest impact to a team on offense.
So I saw you play quarterback up here when you played Moorhead.
Okay.
You prefer quarterback? I know you played safety as well. You played all over the place. Is there a spot that you really, running back is one you prefer more than anything else?
I wouldn't say I prefer one thing. I mean, I just love ball. So anywhere that I can play a role and serve an impact, that's where I like playing. So whether it's throwing the ball, running the ball in high school, I loved safety on defense too, going up and getting to hit people. And then obviously this whole last year at receiver, that was a fun adjustment too. So I enjoyed it all.
What about NDSU's offense appeals to you about that, playing that spot?
Just their dynamic ability and how tough they are physically. I think that appeals to me. I like to consider myself a tough player, so hopefully I can rise to the occasion and match everybody else's tenacity and physicality.
Know full well NDSU's reputation in the Twin Cities. Describe that for people on the outside, Cade, that maybe don't know. How well are the known of the Bison around your hometown?
Ooh, I mean, they have a huge network. A lot of the Midwest knows who they are with their success and everything. So, I mean, I've always heard about them. There wasn't one time where I didn't know about them. I'd go out to my cabin, and like my next door neighbor at my cabin is a huge NDSU fan and all over the Dakotas. So, I mean, everywhere you go around the Midwest, out west, east, it's a pretty big network. So they're well known.
That's just it can't be much better than your final high school game. You're at US Bank Stadium, you win the championship, then you win Mr. Football. Can you give me what that 2 weeks was like?
Mm, really crazy. And then that kind of sparked recruiting up a lot too. Um, mm, it was wild. Figuring out a lot of things at the time, and it was just soaking it all in. It honestly didn't feel real for a little bit. But I mean, yeah, it was a pretty surreal experience, that whole thing. I thought we had a really good team in high school, and they allowed me to make plays, and all those guys. Well, I think we had a really strong senior class that allowed all of us to succeed and win games. And then obviously the Mr. Football Award just came off of that and the success that we had. I couldn't do my thing without the guys in front of me and behind me. So
How would you describe Elk River's offense outside of confusing?
uh relentless would be the
Mhm.
best word I would use. There's things to it where we just got to put your head down sometimes and get the job done. And every play, we're going to knock you down, help you up, but then we're going to knock you down again. And it's not going to stop. And I think NDSU is pretty similar to that, where with their physicality, just going to knock you down and help you back up and keep doing it again all game long. And so relentless would be the best word I would say to describe Elk River's offense. And they're super physical also.
Describe your conversation with Coach Polisek about deciding you were on to come here.
He was really upfront with me, kind of the situation he saw me in and where he sees me in my first year. Just where he sees I can grow and the opportunity that I'll have if I come here. And I was really interested in the opportunity in the receiver room and how I can play an impact on special teams maybe right away also. So, he was really upfront with me and I appreciated that a lot. And I told him that, let him know. So
Just that openness, did it help that help as well? Say you want to play, and this is he kind of spelled it out of what the opportunity is.
yep, 100%. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He said straight up how it is. They have guys that they're comfortable with. They have guys that maybe they want me to try to raise their skill level, and I expect them to do the same with me. And yeah, just that open door kind of philosophy that he had was really helpful to me to make my decision. It felt like more of a friendship kind of role than a coach to player, but that's what I really appreciated from him.
My last question, does this almost feel, Kate, as like a reset? Like you had the Minnesota opportunity, but now it's a chance not to necessarily wipe the slate clean, but starting fresh now at NDSU.
A little bit, yeah. Obviously, I'm going to take everything I learned and how I grew at Minnesota and just carry it over. The how they changed my mindset about things, and I'm going to carry that into NDSU. Hopefully, can play an impact in the receiver room as well as team chemistry role, keeping the team chemistry tight and just rolling everything over that I've learned.
Conversation with Cade Osterman. Appreciate that. And look at this resume. I know it's high school, but this is not, and no offense to our friends in 9-man in Class A, this is Minnesota 5A football. It's the second highest division in the state. This is what he did the last time he actually played a season. Remember, last year he redshirted, didn't play. Mr. Football Award. Elk River was 13-0, won the state championship. He was a first-team All-State selection by the Associated Press, a All-State team member for the Minnesota Vikings, All-Star selection as well. He played in the All-Star game at US Bank Stadium. Care 11 All-Metro team. That means something. The Care 11 All-Metro team, we're talking those are the very best players in the Twin Cities. Osterman was on that. He's been a multiple-time team captain. You saw the highlights of him during our interview, and he played quarterback for that Elk River team with Steve Hamilton as head coach. And ask Kevin Feeney about this because Elk River and Moorhead have had their battles, including a playoff game a couple years ago, which the Spuds thought they had won at the end, and Elk River scored a ridiculous touchdown with 7 seconds left to win the game, where they line up the quarterback and they have the two backs next to him. It's not a wing T, but it's the most complicated offense to try to figure out who actually has the football and how many times you saw Osterman running loose. He's got some speed to him, and you heard him say, and Polisic has told him to potentially play some special teams and looking at wide receiver. Now, you evaluate that Bison wide receiver room. Experience-wise, it's pretty top-heavy. We know with Green departing, you have the likes of Raja Nelson and Braylon Henderson who have the lion's share, and I mean lion's share of receptions returning. From Tyler Terhark to Makai Collins to Bryce Lance, you don't have a ton there. I think a combined 4 catches, I want to say. Maybe 5. There's a precipitous drop-off there. This is a spot. Do I think he can come in and play right away? Yeah, I do. Do I think he's going to take some reps? Potentially. Let's see how he adjusts to figure out the offense. And the biggest thing, Polisic would tell you if he was sitting here next to me, can he catch the ball? That's the number one. If you're going to get on the field, got to be able to block, and you have to be able to catch the football. In a spot where, with Green's departure, you are already cushioning it because you lost Zach Mathis, you lost Jake Lippy. Like, okay, we're going to take some hits there, but you've got Green who developed into being a dynamite playmaker for you over the last half of 2023 to the point where nobody could cover him. He was getting open and making plays that just made you shake your head like, holy cow, like this guy, no one can stop him. And now he's gone. He's off to Iowa State, and you need to, I don't know if replace is the right word, but you've got to figure out what you have. And what they have is a lot of inexperience. Can Osterman come in and provide that? You heard him say, like, they're bringing me in because they think I have something that maybe they don't have, and I can learn from what they do have. I think that was important to pick up on what he said there. So we'll see. I'll be awfully intrigued to see him out. He's a good athlete. He's a really good athlete, to see what he can bring to the 2024 team. With all the transfers, whether it be the punter, whether it be the cornerback they got from Cornell to the center and Trent Fraley, who we met back in January. Can any of them contribute? They're going to need it. They're going to need it for this upcoming year. We'll take our final break. We come back. We got some breaking Paul Bunyan Axe game news to share and much more on ESPN with the Bison of the Jackrabbits. We'll wrap up Hot Mike. College World Series getting going here in about 10 minutes as well. We'll do that right after this.